Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something I think we can all relate to, social media.
It's definitely a topic that's on everyone's mind these days.
Oh, absolutely. And for this deep dive, we're taking a look at a blog post by Dr. Howie Knopf. Um, the title is a bit of a mouthful.
Social media and the double-edged sword of Damocles.
That's it. So survival on social media rests on humility, self-control, and the principles of public relations. Sounds intense.
Yeah. But don't worry, by the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of the power and pitfalls of social media.
And hopefully how to use it a little more wisely.
Exactly.
So Dr. Knopf starts off strong with this image, the sword of Damocles. You familiar with that one?
No, yeah, it's that razor-sharp sword hanging by a thread, right?
Always just waiting to drop. He's using it as a metaphor for social media. Like, you're always on edge, knowing that one wrong post could just bring everything crashing down.
Makes sense. We're all putting out these perfect versions of ourselves online, but there's always that underlying anxiety, that awareness that everything could unravel in an instant.
With one, ill-timed tweet or a comment taken the wrong way.
Exactly. And that's where the double-edged thing comes in, right? Because social media, it's a powerful tool. Like, it can be amazing for connecting with people, learning, sharing ideas.
And even for marketing yourself or your business, I mean, it's a whole new world compared to just a few decades ago.
Definitely.
But the flip side is it can be a breeding ground for negativity, drama, and just wasting time. And then there's the whole pressure to present this perfect image.
Oh, yeah, that constant comparison game can be really tough on people's mental health.
No kidding. So Dr. Knopf really stresses this idea of personal responsibility. We have all this power at our fingertips, but it's up to us to use it wisely.
It's like we hold the keys to this whole thing, and we get to decide how we want to use it.
Well put. And he illustrates this point with a pretty crazy story about a colleague who had this massive public relations disaster, all because of social media. Like when someone does or says something that just creates this huge backlash.
Yeah, PR nightmare. I think we've all seen those stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, in this case, Dr. Knopf's colleague, she complained to this company about some of their employees breaking some minor rules.
Seems pretty harmless, right?
Totally. But then she went on social media and bragged about getting compensated for her complaint.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and that's where things went downhill fast. People saw it as super petty, like she was just trying to get something for nothing.
So what happened? Did she get a lot of negative comments?
Oh, yeah, tons.
Yeah.
But it was more than that. People attacked her business online, and then someone even created a whole website dedicated to exposing her actions.
Whoa, hold on. A whole website?
Seriously, it became this whole internet pile-on. It just goes to show you how fast things can spiral out of control.
Wild. So did she apologize? Try to smooth things over?
Well, she did, but then she kept defending herself and arguing with people online.
Which probably made things even worse. It's like that natural instinct to fight back when you feel attacked, but it almost never helps in these situations.
Yeah, it just adds fuel to the fire.
Sure.
So what can we learn from this whole social media cautionary tale?
Well, Dr. Knopf gives us 5 key takeaways, and I think they're worth repeating because they apply to everyone.
Okay, let's hear them.
All right. Number 1 is think before you post, and then think again. Ask yourself, would I want my grandma to see this? Or could this come back to bite me later?
That's good advice. You never know what might resurface online.
Exactly. Number 2 is once you hit that post button, you lose control. You can't predict how people will interpret what you say or how they'll react.
True. It's out there, and you can't take it back.
Number 3, those online arguments you see, most of the time, they're just not worth it. They rarely change anyone's mind, and they just create more negativity.
I've definitely learned that the hard way. It's so easy to get sucked in. Totally. Number 4 is a big one. Nothing is truly private online. Even if you think you're sharing something in secret, there's always a chance it could be screenshotted and shared.
A little creepy, but true.
And lastly, number 5, a single social media mistake can have lasting consequences. Like, it can affect your job prospects, relationships, and even your reputation long term.
Those are some seriously sobering thoughts.
They are. It's easy to forget about the bigger picture when you're caught up in the moment.
It really is. And it's not just about avoiding these huge PR disasters like Dr. Knopf's colleague experienced. It's about being mindful of our digital footprint,
Yeah.
Even the small things can have an impact.
Absolutely. Everything we do online leaves a trace, and it's up to us to make sure it's a positive one.
Well said. So it's like every click, every comment, it all adds up.
Right. It's like building this online persona, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. And that persona can have real-world consequences.
Okay, so we've talked about thinking before we post and being aware of the potential consequences. But what happens when things do go wrong? How do we recover from a social media misstep?
Well, that's where humility comes in. It's about being able to let go of your ego, admit when you've messed up, and respond genuinely.
It seems like online, it's almost the opposite. Like everyone's trying to be right, to win the argument, to get the last word.
Yeah, it's like humility is this lost art or something.
Totally.
But it's actually super important, especially if you're dealing with like a PR crisis. Dr. Knopf actually talks about this framework from Salient Public Relations for managing these kinds of
So
situations.
it's like a step-by-step guide for when you accidentally set the internet on fire.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. And it starts with understanding what went wrong. Like, was it a poorly worded post, a joke that didn't land, maybe an insensitive comment? You have to figure out the root cause before you can even start to fix it.
That makes sense. So once you figure out what you messed up, what's next?
Well, then it's time to assemble your crisis management team. Like, this could be colleagues, friends, family, even PR professionals if things are really bad.
So like calling in the big guns.
Yeah, exactly. You need people you trust who can help you navigate the situation, and then you can start crafting your response.
So what does a good response even look like? Like what are the key elements?
Well, first and foremost, it needs to be clear and transparent. Acknowledge what happened, take responsibility, and avoid making excuses.
So no hiding behind vague apologies or trying to shift the blame.
Nope, people can see right through that, especially online. And if an apology is warranted, it needs to be genuine, heartfelt.
Like don't just copy and paste some generic PR statement.
Definitely not. You want to let people know you understand the impact of your actions and you're truly sorry for any harm you caused.
Okay, so you've apologized, you've explained yourself. What's the final step?
Action. It's not enough to just say you're sorry. You actually have to show people you're taking steps to fix the situation and prevent it from happening again.
Right, like actually walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly. Maybe it's updating your social media policies or getting some sensitivity training, or maybe it's donating to a relevant charity. Whatever it is, your actions need to match your words.
So humility isn't just about saying the right things, it's about doing the right things too.
It's about living those values, both online and offline.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And I guess regaining trust, that takes time, right?
Oh, for sure. It's not something that happens overnight. But by being sincere, consistent, and taking concrete steps to make things right, you can start to rebuild your reputation.
It's a process. So this whole PR crisis framework, it's super helpful, but it's easy to get caught up in these big dramatic examples. What about like those everyday interactions online where things get misconstrued or taken the wrong way?
You mean like when you're just trying to have a normal conversation and it suddenly turns into a big misunderstanding?
Exactly. It feels like it happens all the time online. Like you try to make a joke and it falls flat, you express an opinion, and people jump down your throat.
Yeah. It's like walking on eggshells sometimes.
Totally.
Well, you're right. It happens a lot. I think it's because online, nuance can be hard to convey. Like, sarcasm doesn't always translate well in text. And even if your intentions are good, your words can be misconstrued.
Especially when you're dealing with like sensitive topics.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And speaking of sensitive topics, Dr. Knopf actually shares a personal anecdote about this in his blog post. He was writing about emotional control in schools, and he chose to use this image of an angry black schoolgirl to illustrate his point.
I remember that. I can see how that could be seen as controversial.
Yeah, and I mean, he knew it was a potentially controversial choice, but he felt it was important to show the raw emotions that students, especially those from marginalized communities, often experience.
Yeah, he was trying to highlight a real issue.
Exactly. And, predictably, he got some negative feedback. People accused him of being racially insensitive, perpetuating harmful stereotypes.
Well, it just goes to show, even when you try to be thoughtful and nuanced, your message can still get misinterpreted.
Totally. So how did he handle this situation?
Well, he responded calmly and respectfully. He explained his reasoning for using the image and stressed that his intent wasn't to stereotype anyone. He was just trying to shed light on the complex emotions that students deal with.
So he didn't get defensive or try to shut down the conversation.
Nope, he used it as an opportunity to clarify his message and engage in a dialogue.
That's great. And it's a good lesson for all of us, right? When someone misinterprets us online, it's tempting to get defensive or dismissive.
Yeah, our first instinct is often to protect ourselves. But sometimes the best approach is to take a deep breath, listen to what the other person is saying, and try to understand their perspective.
Even if we don't agree with it.
Exactly. It's about approaching the situation with humility and a willingness to learn.
Like sometimes, even if you feel like you didn't do anything wrong, a simple apology can go a long way in de-escalating things.
Totally. It's like saying, hey, I hear you, and I'm sorry if I caused any unintentional harm.
Just acknowledging their feelings.
Right. Showing that you care.
Okay, so we've talked about humility in preventing those big PR disasters and also in those everyday online interactions. But there's this bigger question I've been thinking about.
What's that?
Who's really in control when it comes to social media? Like, is it us, the users, making these choices about what we post and who we interact with? Or are we being manipulated by these algorithms that are designed to keep us hooked?
Ah, the age-old question.
Right, it's a big one. And actually, Dr. Knopf explores this in his post. He asks his AI assistant, who controls the algorithms on social media?
Asking the AI. Love it.
So,
What did the AI say? Anything profound?
well, no, not exactly. But it did highlight how complex this issue is. It pointed out that the social media platforms themselves have a huge influence on what we see and how we interact online.
Well, yeah, because they're the ones creating and controlling the algorithms.
Right. And those algorithms are designed to keep us engaged, to show us content that will keep us scrolling and clicking and liking.
They're like little puppet masters behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
Exactly. So is that it then? Are we just puppets?
Well, not necessarily. The AI also mentioned the people who design and build those algorithms, the coders and engineers, they're making decisions about what data to collect, what factors to prioritize, how to personalize our feeds.
So they have a lot of power too.
They do. But I think it's more accurate to say it's this complex interplay between human choices and technological influences.
So it's not black and white.
Nope. We still have agency. We can make choices about how we use social media, what we engage with, and how much time we spend online.
It's about finding that balance.
Exactly. And that's where self-control comes in. Dr. Knopf actually uses those Freudian concepts of the id, ego, and superego to explain this.
Okay, refresh my memory on those.
Sure. So the id is that impulsive, pleasure-seeking part of us. It wants instant gratification and doesn't think about consequences. The superego is our moral compass, our sense of right and wrong, and the ego is the mediator, trying to balance those two.
Got it. So how does that relate to social media?
Well, social media is designed to appeal to our id. It's full of shiny distractions, quick hits of dopamine, endless opportunities for instant gratification.
It's like a digital buffet of temptation.
Exactly. And it's up to our ego, that sense of self-control, to step in and say, hold on, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this how I want to be spending my time?
So resisting those impulsive urges, those knee-jerk reactions.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that these algorithms are trying to manipulate us, but we don't have to let them win. We can choose to be more mindful, more intentional, and in control of our own online experience.
It's like we're the captain of our own social media ship, navigating those algorithmic currents, but staying true to our course.
I like that analogy. And even those small acts of self-control, like pausing before we post or considering different perspectives, those can make a big difference.
It's about taking back our power, one small choice at a time.
Absolutely.
It's a lot to think about, not just passively scrolling anymore.
It really is. We're active participants, for better or for worse.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of empowering in a way.
It is. We have a say in how this whole thing unfolds.
Also a little overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all holding pieces of this massive digital puzzle.
Definitely a lot of responsibility there. Knowing every choice we make has an impact.
A real world impact, too. It's not just happening in some digital void.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. Like, think about the possibilities, connecting with people all over the world, learning, sharing, sparking change. It's mind-blowing.
Okay, I see the potential. I do. But I also think about how easy it is to get sucked into all the negativity and the drama.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a trap.
So how do we stay grounded amidst all that?
Well, I think it comes down to self-awareness and humility. Being aware of our own biases, our triggers, what makes us react impulsively.
And being willing to listen to others, even when we disagree.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, we never know what someone else is going through. So approaching those interactions with a little compassion can make a huge difference.
Love that.
And remember, social media, it's just a tool, right?
Right.
It's how we use it that matters. We can use it to spread positivity, connect with people who share our values, learn, grow, even make a difference in the world.
So true. It's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others, or feeling pressure to present this perfect image.
That's the comparison trap.
It is.
Yeah.
But we don't have to play that game. We can choose to be authentic, to be kind, to use our voices for good.
That's what it's all about. And that's what I hope people take away from this deep dive. Social media can be a force for good, but it takes intention, it takes mindfulness, and most importantly, it takes remembering our shared humanity.
I love that. So well said. This has been such a thought-provoking conversation. I feel like we've covered so much. The double-edged nature of social media, the importance of thinking before we post,
Oh, yeah.
how to deal with those PR nightmares and even those everyday miscommunications, the role of algorithms,
Yeah.
and of course, the power of self-control and humility.
It's been great exploring all this with you.
Me too. So as we wrap up, what's that one final thought we want to leave our listeners with?
How about this? Knowing how much influence these algorithms have, and knowing that social media can be used for both good and bad, how can you use it to make a positive impact?
Yeah.
And at the same time, how can you protect your own well-being?
That's a big question,
Hmm.
but an important one. It's about finding that balance,
It is harnessing the power of the technology, but not letting it consume us.
being mindful creators, not just mindless scrollers.
Exactly. And I encourage everyone listening to think about their own social media habits. What choices are you making? How are those choices impacting your life and the lives of others?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences with us, your struggles, your triumphs,
Let's keep this conversation going.
because it doesn't end here.
It's an ongoing journey.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on The Deep Dive. We hope you've learned something new and are feeling inspired to navigate the social media world with a little more awareness, a little more intention, and a healthy dose of self-control. Until next time, happy scrolling, everyone.